Right, welcome back. Well, not welcome back. We've been here. All we've done is quickly turn the kitchen round. I've got my good friend Jon Fell here.
Hi guys.
Welcome, John. I say welcome. You're always
I'm
here.
always
You're like a bad smell, aren't you? I say time.
I've had worse though.
Yeah. John works as a chef in the area. He does recipes on Simply Good Food TV. You'll see him all the time. He's always contributing recipes. Very active on social media. Sometimes a little grumpy on social media. Yeah, sometimes he's got his toenails painted and he's having a glass of Pinot Grigio, but we'll not go there.
This is true.
Pink shirts, you know. But no, he's a great friend of mine, and I thoroughly enjoy cooking with John. He is absolutely comes from the same place that I do in terms of cooking and how he approaches it. But fish is your absolute passion, isn't it?
Yeah, I love it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Seafood, fish.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what we having?
Well, I'm hoping that I can fit 3 things in. That's my plan.
Okay.
So I've got a lemon sole, which I'm going to bake in the oven. Okay.
Nice.
And I'm going to make a chicken, lemon and thyme sauce to go with that. Slightly sounds slightly strange, but it works really, really well.
I don't think I've ever actually eaten salt-baked fish. I've seen it a lot, and I've always got it, but I've never really had the opportunity to try it, so I'm looking forward to trying that.
Right, cool. And then what I've also got some. We've got some. I was going to use hake, but I know I think you might be doing a hake, or you might if you
might be later. Yeah.
So I'm going to use some fantastic cod, and what I'm going to do is, just because I'm a chef and I'm very, very stingy, known for my stinginess, I'm going to use scallops. But I'm also going to use the coral because I hate throwing anything away. And that's one thing I think you'll agree that restaurants we tend just to discard that a little bit. But I'm going to use that in a sauce. I'm going to make a white wine sauce. I'm going to use scallop coral to flavour that sauce. Okay, and then we've got some samphire. Thought I'd better pronounce that correctly rather than samphire and all the rest of the. You know, it depends where you come from, I think. So I've got some lovely samphire. I've also got some spinach, and I'm going to do a little vegetable, a little seafood vegetable kind of garnish to go with the cod and the sauce, and hopefully, if I've got time and I don't waffle too much, they very, very kindly, I didn't know I was going to get these, so very, very kindly, and I've changed what I was going to do.
I knew you would. I knew you would when you saw it all.
Which is totally going to throw Barry into absolute fit.
Oh, good.
But they're very, these are, I love scallops, they're my all-time favourite, and they've managed to get me some live ones in shells, and what I'm going to do, it's very old-fashioned, and I know Pete ribs me about this so much. It's very old-fashioned, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the scallop out and I'm going to use the shell to actually bake the scallop in. I'm going to seal it with some puff pastry, if I've remembered to bring it. And I'm going to put some various flavours in there, but we'll leave that so that we don't give away too much. But I'm really, really chuffed with him because he's got me some.
Look after you.
You do. That's kind of why I've changed what I was going to do. So it's kind of thrown everything up out in the open, but that's what we're going to do. So.
Right.
You want me to get
I do, I absolutely do. I'm looking forward to it.
Okay, excellent.
I've even got a chair to sit down on if I get the chance.
That's very, very good.
And we've got wine to come.
Yeah, excellent. Well, do you know what I thought, right? Just because anybody that knows me kind of, you know, it would be wrong of me anyway, wouldn't it? Just, I just thought, you know, it would be wrong of me anyway. But I'm only going to have a little bit. Plus, I need some for cooking. That's the excuse, right? Okay. So the first thing, guys, I'm going to do, I'm going to use this lovely, lovely cod. I think you'll agree, it's absolutely smashing. I don't know where because obviously we normally, we're very, very lucky, aren't we, that we work with a very good friend of ours, Mr. Stevie Hallett. He's a local man, local fisherman.
He's a good egg, isn't he?
He is a good egg, who gets us most of our fish, but today these guys have got the fish for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pan fry. First thing I'm going to do is South Banks fish. I've been kindly told that it's from South Banks Fish.
Yeah,
okay,
via Selfridges.
Via Selfridges.
Told you,
so thank you very, very much for that.
So they've actually they've got a pop-up, have they, in Selfridges at the moment, Barry? Fish counter. Right. So I would imagine that there's going to be all kinds of beautiful fish there. So I would definitely, if you're down that way, unfortunately, if you're down in London, sorry about that, but go and pay them a visit.
I'm not that lucky, but there you go. So what I'm going to do, so I've made some incisions into my cod. Okay?
Why?
I always do it because I like my fish to cook evenly. It will cook evenly.
So it lets some heat in.
And it lets the heat in. And the other thing, of course, is that.
Would you like me to help you with the whole bit?
If you wouldn't mind just setting that up for me. The other thing, of course, that it does is it will cook evenly, but also it will enable some of that salt to get in there, and any flavouring that we want to put in there will get in there as well, and it will enable us to get a fantastic crispy skin. So I'm just going to salt these up. Now I was always taught. You might disagree with me, Pete, because you generally disagree with me on most things, but I was always taught when I was cooking fish was to season it before I cooked it and to season it after as well. I'm sure there'll be people screaming at the screen as we speak, saying he's talking total rubbish, but I believe it to be true. Give it a good salting before we start. Okay, I'm just going to leave that there just for a second. So my sauce, this is going to be my white wine and scallop coral sauce. I'm going to, I think just because there's a lot of the guys, and you'll probably hear Pete has mentioned a lot of the team behind the scenes, and it's a massive taking on that these guys are doing today and tonight and for the next 24 hours. Okay, and I don't envy them, because when I'm finished, I'm done till 5 o'clock in the morning. At least I can go and have a kip. Well, these guys have got to stay here and they've got to work away. So I'm going to use the scallop coral. I'm going to use some garlic, and it's a basic white wine cream sauce. Okay, I'm using chicken stock. I'm not using vegetable stock. I'm using chicken stock for no other reason really than this recipe doesn't really matter too much whether we use a fish stock.
Pan's getting hot. Do you want it?
Could you just turn it if you wouldn't mind?
Want it medium?
You know what I'm like with these induction hobs.
It's all modern fandangle technology.
It is all modern.
For you middle-aged men.
Actually, you always keep reminding me of that.
I know, you're the oldest one in this place, aren't you?
And Peter also, what Peter's done is introduced me to this lovely, lovely rapeseed oil. I'm just going to oil my pan just very.
See, no, I never oil the pan. I always oil the fish.
Yeah, I think I always oil my steak.
You always make mistakes.
Yeah, I always make mistakes. I always oil my steak.
Yeah.
I don't know whether you can pick that up, but it's got a great.
I always think if you don't hear that sizzle, it's not ready.
Yeah.
You've got to. There's a lot to be said for hearing food cooking.
Yeah, of course there is. Well,
it's one of those senses.
Well, cooking is all about the senses. Looking, smelling, feel, touch. I'm cooking this fish really, really gently, and again, it used to be all the rage with chefs, where I think we used to get the pan red hot, says John, who had it smoking not 2 minutes ago, to get it red hot, put the fish in, there'd be a load of spitting from the oil, the fish would shrivel up and start shouting for its life just because it was so hot. But over the years, I don't know whether you might agree with me, you might not. I like to do it nice and gentle on a low heat, just to cook it 3/4 of the way, all the way through, and then just flip it over, finish it with a lovely knob of butter, squeeze a lemon, and just let that residual heat.
Yeah, I mean, I think less is more with fish. I think as you get older, you learn to respect the ingredient a bit more. You know what to buy, when to buy it.
Very true.
And what to do with it, and more importantly, what not to do with it.
Yeah, I think
not to over-engineer things.
Yeah, well, I think we're all. I think as and this is one thing I will say to any young chefs listening out there. What I will say is that I was very, very guilty of this myself, where I used to throw everything at a dish. I used to think I needed to throw the kitchen sink. You name it, I needed to do it. The thing about fish, and that's what I've learned, one thing that I have learned as I've got older and wiser, he's old, extremely older, and maybe not so wise, but extremely older, is that fish and seafood, it doesn't need a lot doing to it because it's a fantastic product as it is. I was saying to Jenny earlier on, she said, why fish? And I love seafood and I love fish because it's almost instant. It's not like a piece of beef that
you don't slow cook fish, do you?
Yeah. It's not like a piece of, a shin of beef or or a leg of lamb that you've got to slowly cook. It's this within reason. Seafood is instant, and that's what I love about it. It's quick. It's very good for you, and as you get older, you know you do tend to need to look after yourself slightly more.
You learn you're not bulletproof anymore.
Yeah, of course you do. And we won't mention that we've started sort of going for squash.
Yes, we are back at squash, and unfortunately I'm 1-0 down at squash. I will let you know. He's one of these ones that he's a bit crafty with his squash shots, and he likes to drop them into the corners, don't you?
Yeah, well, yeah, it's kind of. You know.
But you do look like hell. Like 2 minutes into a game, you look like you're about to die, but you stay looking like that.
To be fair, I felt like it as well. To be fair,
I didn't mind losing because I looked better.
Yeah,
I looked healthier than him, even though he won.
Yeah, but yeah. So the sauce, I've just chopped my garlic and I've chopped an onion. Okay, there's just a little amount of oil in there. I'm just going to put because chefs love our butter.
Well, yes, we're all.
I think we're all a bit guilty of it.
You can't help but add a bit to it.
So just a small. I'm just going to turn this up just a tad. Just a small amount.
Do you want me to do it?
Yeah, please.
Yeah. It's a bit beyond you, isn't it?
Yeah, it's this induction. I've always been because I'm an old man.
It's the way forward.
Yeah,
all kitchens are going to go to induction, mate.
I think the beauty of induction is it's as you can hear, it's quieter. And I think it's a lot less energy. It's a lot less energy. It's a lot less vigorous, isn't it? And I think that's
It's a bit like you when you play squash.
Yeah. Thanks very much. You're just going to keep bringing that up.
Yeah. If only I'd won.
So in there we've got the garlic and the onion that's sweating down. I've got my coral. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Which I'm just going to pop into there. I'm just going to.
You let me know when you want our wine buffing.
Yeah. Okay.
Let me know when you get thirsty.
Well, actually, I think
he's poised. He's ready to go.
He's poised already.
Always, yeah.
Cheers, guys. I hope everybody's enjoying this back at home, by the way, because this is cracking, and we're really enjoying it today.
Jon was one of the first people that I ever explained the concept of Simply Good Food TV to over a coffee one day. Not sure whether they thought I was mad.
I did think you were.
Well, yeah, a few people thought I was. It was one of the first people I explained it to, and partly, you know, Jon's very much one of the reasons why I wanted to create it, because, you know, it creates this platform for people who I know are super passionate about food and cooking and got great personality, and it's not always easy to be able to kind of unlock the puzzle of, do you know, I'd love to do my own cookery show. And some people want to do that and some people don't. Some people just want to share what their passions. And that's kind of why we created the app. It allows people to share and it gives people like Jon an audience who want to watch and listen. So that's kind of why I did it. And Jon has a really funny way with cooking. When I film him, I could only film him normally outdoors because if I film him indoors and he wants like loads of edit and we have to do like scripts and everything else like that, he just goes to absolute mush. I put him outside and he's like, it's like flicking a switch and he's just like boom and he's back to himself.
Now, if I can just show you that, you see it's not been a vigorous heat, it's just been on a medium heat, okay, and that skin is already fantastically crisp. And what I'm going to do is just going to turn that over.
How far cooked is that?
That is, I would say that's 3/4. The one thing, can I just tell you this as well? Please, do not stress about fish being undercooked and all the rest of it, right? Because the fish, if you know fish is fresh, which we do because this is coming today, right? Fish wants to be no more than opaque once cooked all the way through. You don't need to cook it to within an inch of its life and overdo it, because you're going to lose all that flavour and all that texture. What you want it just wants to be lovely and opaque in the middle, and there's nothing at all. If you know it's fresh, which we do, because we know where we get it from, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that at all. It's only when you're buying it from places that don't know, like backdoor people and all the rest of it, which we won't go into.
I don't know, some backdoor.
Yeah, some see. You've got to help me out here. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. If your fish is fresh, opaque,
you're going to be alright.
Yeah, it's absolutely fantastic. So I'm kind of almost happy with that.
Right.
Chefs are notorious, as I've already said, with the butter. So what I'm going to do, just to finish this, could you just get me something just so I can sit there?
A plate? Or
Yeah, a plate. Yeah. Okay. So there we go. And I'm just going to so I've just put some butter in there, and I'm just going to let the heat from that pan continue, and I'm going to be more than happy with it. Okay, so, and I'm just going to leave that just a sec. Now look, the skin is absolutely fantastic. You can tell just by looking at it that it's not overcooked. It's going to be absolutely delicious whilst I finish the sauce. Okay, so in there we have the garlic, the onion. I put the scallop coral in there. I put the white wine in there just because we've got some. It's open. Okay, so the white wine's gone in. I'm always asked as well what wine to cook with. Now our wine man, where is he? Our wine man, mate, come on, he's possibly going to disagree with me a little, but I was always told.
Oh, you got some green.
And you can tell me whether I'm talking rubbish or whether I'm talking correct. I was always told, do not cook with wine if you wouldn't drink it. Is this?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Excuse my French.
That's very, very good.
No, don't. I think Peter made a comment earlier. He was talking about great cooking starts with great shopping, and you've got to have decent.
Yeah, cook with the best that you can get. I think is always what I've been taught.
Absolutely.
I think as well as chefs, we have to be slightly conscious in the fact that I'm well aware that we're all on budgets and all the rest of it. I'm a chef, so I'm more than conscious than anybody of how much stuff costs. Hence the reason that I tend not to throw too much away. But buy the best that you can, and that's all I can say. Is just buy the best that you can, and that way your cooking will be the best that it can as well. Okay. So I reduced the wine down. Now I'm just using. It's not going to be anything quite like this, but I'm just using a basic white wine. So I've reduced that down, and then what I've also got in there is some chicken stock, and I've just added that in, and I'm going to reduce that down by about a half, and then I'm just going to add a little touch of cream, not too much because I don't want it too rich, just in a little bit of cream, just to lighten it up. If you wanted, and you wanted to be really, really flash, you could. That smells absolutely fantastic.
Doesn't that smell nice? What does it smell of? Wine.
Wine. Hang on.
I'll give you a clue.
I feel like I'm coming in at the right time.
Yeah, okay, I'll go with that. Yeah, lemon. Yeah, go okay.
Made with a
You
grape.
can tell that as a chef, I'm totally with it on my wines. No, it is really, really good.
Goes brilliantly with fish. This grape, it's called Picpoul. Picpoul. Comes from the south of France.
Picpoul.
Grown by those big lakes or big sort of lagoons on the edge of the Mer where they grow lots of oysters, lots of shellfish. See what we've done there? It's almost like coordinated.
Yeah, it's as if we've actually thought about it before. Yeah.
And it's just got this really lemony flavour, so it just goes brilliant with with fish.
It's not wine that I've heard of at all.
That's all the fun, isn't it? Wine. It's like all these brilliant wines that are out there.
Cheers.
That's what I'm saying.
Do you work with a lot of restaurateurs and things like that to try and get wines, things like that matched?
Yeah, we do. We don't. I mean, you can disappear too far where the sun doesn't shine. Sometimes I think with that sort of thing.
It's easy to get a bit pretentious about wine, isn't it?
You can absolutely. There's an awful lot of what's about the wine world. When we're thirsty, we try to sort of take all of that and just go in the bin and start again from scratch. And,
So are you of the mindset that if you like it, it's all right, or
absolutely. If you like something that the rest of the world sneers at, but you like it, you fill your bins.
Yeah.
We can give you some steers and we can give you some, pointing towards things like this stuff. Look, there you go. If you like Sauvignon Blanc, you'll probably like this stuff. Picpoul.
Yeah.
You can get it in the supermarkets now.
Do you think as a nation now, because we're obviously more into food, do you think now that people are getting more into the wines and all the rest of it, or is it still seen as like an elitist?
I think there is still a sort of establishment angle to wine. But if you look back into the late 80s when Oblins appeared on the scene, they were the first folk who were bringing in the wines from Australia, or in any sort of degree of quantity. Ever since then, there has been breaking down little by little of some of the pretense and the sort of posh cravat and waistcoat brigade side of wine, but there's still a hell of a long way to go because there's a lot of snobbery involved still. It's really intimidating, I know, to a lot of people because it's kind of so big and it's foreign. It's
and what's your view on there was when I was a young, I'm going back a long time. When I was a younger a chef and I was training, it was always fish and chicken, white wine, beef, red meat. It was always red wine. But what's your opinion?
There's definitely there's a lot of truth in that. You want to match, you need to match sort of the weight and strength of flavours in wine. So you could have a lighter red wine.
I've only brought this up because I was watching. I don't know whether anybody else watched it. I don't know whether you guys watched this last night. I was watching MasterChef last night, and they were asked to make a roast chicken dinner, and Marcus Waring said that he was disappointed that the guy had used red wine to make the gravy with, to go with the chicken. So I'm just kind of wondering what your...
I think, look, white wines, especially white wines with a bit more body, go really well with chicken, with poultry. It's undeniable. But equally, if you shoved a lighter red wine, something like a Beaujolais or a sort of lighter red from Italy, you'd be on good ground. So far from me. I was of the same.
I thought it was quite a strange. I have to say, I thought it was a strange thing to. But we won't get into that. I just thought it was.
I'm sure he's watching.
I just thought it was a strange. I'm sure he may well be. So, I've got, while we've been chatting, you probably saw me. I've got some lovely tender stem broccoli, which I've just taken the ends off. Love broccoli. It's absolutely cracking. The other thing that I use a lot, and I use it a lot with fish, is curly kale. It's one of my all-time favourites. It was the most unfashionable thing in the world at one point, and it then became very, very fashionable. But as lots of things do, chefs up and down the country were all using it in all various forms. We were puring it, we were crisping it up, we were doing all sorts of stuff with it, and people got a little bit fed up with it. And it went out of fashion again, but I still love it. I think it's an absolutely cracking vegetable, and I use it. As I say, I do use it a lot. I use it a lot with fish.
And a lot of it in England, didn't we?
Yeah, I think that's I think any of us will tell you the same. I think it's what I can pick myself and Pete. We have conversations about this all the time. We can pick the phone up at any point in the day and order anything from anywhere in the world, and it'll be with us. I'm going to say tomorrow, but you know what I mean. It could be with us the next day. But why would we when we've got such fantastic produce on the doorstep? And it's the same principle as I work with fish. I love my fish, I love my seafood, and I'm a massive supporter of. And I think some of them are actually watching tonight. I'm a massive supporter of fishermen. In fact, whilst we've been here today, I've been challenged to do a role swap where I'm going to be the skipper for the day, and he's going to be the chef, and the skipper's going to be the chef for the day. We're going to try and set that up for this next coming year. I do a lot as much as I can to try and support the guys because I think they do a fantastic job, and without them, I wouldn't have this.
Where is this fish come from? Will this be up towards Iceland, the cod?
I'm assuming the cod. I love hake. I was going to use hake, but I think Pete might be doing hake at some point today. So I was sorry, Chef. That's all right. I was going to use hake because I'm a massive, and anybody that knows me, and there's a lot of guys out there that know me, know that I love my hake. I think it's a lovely, lovely fish, very much underrated and very much underused. And the reason I started getting into the hake was because the likes of the cod and the haddock were suffering a little bit. Although the stocks are, and all the fishermen will tell you exactly the same. Stocks are coming back, and that's absolutely fantastic. But what we don't want to do, just because they're coming back, is let's go and net them again, and let's go and pummel it to death. So I used.
More expensive.
Yeah, of course it is. Yeah, and hake, and I love hake. There are lots of fish out there. There's hake. There's ling, as myself and Pete were talking about this earlier on. Hake, there's ling, which, you know, again, it was overfished at one point, but I think I'm right in saying, you know, fishermen will probably get in touch and tell me different, but I think I'm right in saying that the stocks of the ling is coming back again. So, you know, we've a lot of seafood, we've a lot of fish around our coast, and we just don't utilise it. We don't use it, you know, and it's a real shame. And of course, you know, without, and I know I bang on it a little bit, but without the fishermen, you know, I wouldn't be able to cook dishes like we do, you know.
Gurnard, that's a good one, isn't
Gurnard, yeah. Well, again, years ago, that fish would have been used as bait. It would have been used for lobster pots, and at no point would you ever have seen it. I'm going to pass this because it's a little lumpy. At no point. Have you got a sieve and a? I had one somewhere. I don't know why I've done it. Oh, it's okay. I've got it. You know, similar. You know, not a dissimilar kind of thing to the monkfish. You know, the gurnard is a cracking fish, but
quite meaty, isn't it?
And quite meaty, quite bony. But if you know what you do with it, it's not that's not really an issue. You know, and he's quite bony. And was just used as bait for lobster pots and the rest of it. And monkfish, you know, if you talk to the fishermen, the monkfish, the poor old monkfish, went through a period where just nobody ever wanted to. Nobody ever wanted to use the monkfish because it's the ugliest thing in the world. You know, it's a big head.
Yeah.
What's
wrong with that? What are you saying?
Yeah. Not unlike, you know. So, I mean, the way that I cook is pretty. I take a few ingredients, as I do, and I just try and cook with a little bit of passion and a little bit of love for the product that I'm using. You know, rather than throwing all sorts of stuff at it, you know, just leave it and let it do its. Which I notice you've arrived.
Timing is everything, as they say. Yes, thank you.
So that was the wine. It's got this rather nice dinky skittle-shaped bottle, which is typical of this region. Picpoul de Pinet, south of France, down near Montpellier.
Absolutely right.
It is absolutely stunning.
Get the forks out, John. Behind you.
Gentlemen, there we go.
So I'll tell you what, while you are having a little taste of that, and I will too, I want to show you just a very little quick dish while you're getting squared up. We'll have taste as well.
Yeah, okay.
I'm going to make something with a little bit of smoked salmon.
Yep.
Alright.
So that gives me a chance to. This is where I breathe a sigh of relief that it is cooked. I'm not taught a load of rubbish, and it is cooked all the way. It is perfect.
It looks beautiful.
It is cooked perfectly.
It really does look good. Okay, so what I've got is some German rye bread. Okay, I'm just going to cut this in half, and I'm going to pop it straight in the oven. Is the oven struggling with that as well?
Yeah, no, it's okay.
All right. Yeah. Okay, so I've got some beautiful cucumber gin. Okay.
Nice.
Now for me, gin kind of works really well with smoked salmon.
Okay.
It's got that juniper. You know, it's all kind of working well together. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to boil down a gin, and not quite a gin and tonic, a gin and cucumber water. So they've got this beautiful. I mean, smell that. Can you smell the cucumber straight away?
That's really good,
Isn't it?
Yeah, that's really good.
Gin and cucumber. Yeah.
My nose a bit too close.
And then a little bit of cucumber water as well. And we're just going to reduce that down. We're going to kind of make a syrup.
See, I would just normally tonic, slice of.
Yeah, well, you know. Yeah. Okay, and then what we're going to do is we're going to make something nice and raw and crunchy. So we've got a little bit of radish. Okay, the old humble radish.
Well, that's absolutely delicious.
You like that?
And the cod
looks
is
good.
just that, you know, sort
I
of
bet the cod's beautifully cooked because I know
Just-
what he's like.
just not, you know, not all.
Yeah,
sort of-
but you saw, you know, I watched a video on YouTube a couple of nights ago, and the chef was cooking a piece of fish, just like that, with skin on, into the pan. There was so much oil in there. the pan was smoking, it was red hot, he put the fish in, it was spitting and bubbling and all over, and I just thought, you don't, just be gentle, you know. I mean, there was a slight sizzle when that fish went into the pan, but there was no spitting and there was no bubbling and all the rest of it. And the skin is still fantastically crisp. So it just proves that you don't need to...
and it's got that lovely, where it's sort of, it's flaky, but it's not mushy. It still has that slightly rubbery.
Well, if it goes like it is overdone then it should be flaky, you know.
Yeah, it's quite a delicate fish, isn't it?
Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah.
So radish, chopped up, cucumber, because that's kind of the theme, really. I'm just going to do this really quickly. Which dish are you going to cook after this, John?
I was going to do the salt crusted baked fish, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to bake the lemon sole. I'm going to take the what I call the feathers or the outer fins off the tail and the head.
Yeah.
I'm going to put some a little bit of white wine and some chicken stock into there and put that through the oven. And then while I'm doing that, I'm going to do a lemon and thyme sauce just to go with that. It's just to show that it is so simple.
But you're not a one-trick pony.
Yeah, well, I think. I've talked about it. I know we joke, but we've talked about this. Fish doesn't need too much done to it.
No.
It's a fantastic product anyway. Why do so much to it just to try and improve it? It doesn't need improving. It is fantastic as it is,
And it's got the flavours of fish are quite delicate to start with. So you start mucking about too much, you just kill the flavours.
So this gin and this cucumber water, see how much I've reduced it down?
It's actually gone quite syrupy. It's almost syrupy. It's quite syrupy.
We're going to just add that straight in, and that'll just take the kind of rawness, a little bit of rawness away from the cucumber and the radish. Okay, and then in with some lemon juice. Okay, touch of rapeseed oil, not a lot.
I'm just getting stuck in over here.
You keep going.
You enjoy it.
I'm alright, Jack.
Yeah, because nobody over there wants to try it.
I was going to say, Rob's gone very quiet.
Yeah. So shred up a load of mint, because this is all going to work nicely with the cucumber and everything. A little bit of seasoning. Okay. Right. And then I will clear all this out your way in a second, John.
That's fine.
Kind of taking over a bit, sorry, John.
That's alright, man. Not at all. It's
Okay.
nice to see you doing some work.
Well, yeah, So let's get some of this smoked salmon.
And this smoked salmon we know because we know where it's come from. It's absolutely stunning, isn't it? But smoked salmon in general and the salmon farming industry in general has come on so much in the last 10, 15 years. Again, if you'd have asked me 10, 15 years ago, would I have bought farmed salmon? The answer would have been absolutely not, no way. But the industry is absolutely, especially up in Scotland, the industry is absolutely fantastic. They produce a brilliant product, and I would most definitely recommend it to anybody. So I think that's it's a great thing that they've done. And they've really upped the game. So
yeah.
Right, so we've got some of this pumpernickel, which is like the really dark German rye bread. Have you had it before?
Yeah.
I really like it. It's got a really... Have you had it? It is lovely. And it's beautiful with...
Keeps you regular as well.
Well, it's just full of goodness, really, isn't it?
I'm glad you said that. You can get away with it,
So a little bit of creme fraiche on there, and then take the salmon. And I actually quite like to serve this when the bread is warm out of the oven, because I think it brings the temperature up of the smoked salmon really quickly, and that's when it comes into its own flavour. And then we want loads of this raw kind of radish, cucumber, mint, gin, cucumber water all across there. And then we'll maybe just see if there's a little bit of watercress in there for me.
Yeah, sure.
I'm absolutely gagging to try this.
There we go. If you add a little drizzle of oil, you can usually charge another £1 for the dish in the restaurant. Is there none there?
None there.
It's alright, we'll have a couple of little leaves of spinach.
That's nice.
Just a little bit of green. And then I always like that squeeze of lemon.
I think I'm going to take a photograph of that. That just looks absolutely gorgeous.
No problem. But that's really, it's really quick, it's really simple, it's really fresh. Have a little try if you like.
It does look good, doesn't it? That, I have to say.
There we go. There's 2 there, help yourselves guys. Cook in. I will move this for you guys while you cook.
Thank you.
But that is my smoked salmon with cucumber gin, and it's got a salsa of radish, cucumber and mint.
Absolutely. That is really, really good. It's good, isn't it? Oh, I'll wait till you've...
Oh, that is just,
It's good, isn't it?
that is absolutely stonking. I better just check to see how well it goes with this stuff.
Yeah.
Smells alright.
Doesn't it? It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
So gin, it's official, gin goes with pitbull.
Let's send this away then, because I know there'll be people that want to try this.
Oh, that's my one.
Was that yours?
It's a good skill to have, though, to multi-glass.
Multi-glass. Cheers. Okay. So,
You two just think you sat in the pub, don't you, basically, on a Friday night?
it's like having a chat with mates, isn't it? So, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do a lemon sole. Just going to quickly bake it or braise it in the oven. Okay, I've already got a tray in there that's nice and hot. Okay, I'm just going to take off the tail. Okay, and this is another one of those. The reason I do fish whole, and I tend, especially flatfish, I tend to do them whole. And the reason I do, I bet we haven't got a pair of scissors. Have we? Do you have a pair of scissors?
Okay.
Scissors. I knew I'd forget something. The reason that I do the fish whole is the fact that, you know, by the time you've filleted a flatfish out, you're not left lovely. You're not left with a massive amount. Okay, and I just think that's a real shame. Fish tastes so much better on the bone anyway. So if I can, it's not always possible, but if I can, I always try and cook it on the bone. So what I've done is I've just taken the head off, as you saw. Okay, and I'm just going to take these, what I call, I don't know what you call them, the tails, feathers, whatever you want to call them, just take those off.
Quite spiny, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, again, I get asked this a lot because I do a seafood cookery course at the school here. It's one of the things I get asked a lot. Why take them off? It's just that eye. It's that aesthetic thing that people, you know. It's what it looks like on the plate. If it looks appetising and it looks appealing, people will eat it. Whereas if it's you know, if it's got bits and if you leave the head on, you could argue why take the head off, because what happens is if you send the fish out with the head on, you'll more often than not get it sent back because the customer wants it taken off anyway.
People
so
get a bit spooked by it.
yeah, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's just how it is. You know?
Same with a bottle of wine or beer. You know, there's the packaging element, which is part of the appeal to the customer.
Yeah, sure.
You know, you got to get it right.
So I'm just going to season this up really, really well. Okay. And one thing that I'm going to do with this that I don't normally do, but I'm going to do it with this just because I want it as much as possible to crisp up. I'm just going to dust it with a little bit of flour. Okay. For no other reason than I just want this to crisp up a little bit. Okay. So just a little sprinkling of flour. Okay. Not too much. I don't want it claggy. I just want it to crisp up when it's in the oven. Because flatfish, you know, I always find flatfish, the skin tends not to crisp up particularly well. So hopefully by doing this,
15 minutes, John, is that?
Yeah, no worries.
About that?
Yeah, I've got my tray.
Got another wine to drink.
Yeah, alright, okay.
So you heard the sizzle, which is exactly what you're looking for. How long have I got?
15 minutes.
15 minutes.
Time
The fish will take 15 minutes. Okay, so
Want me to clean that?
yeah, if you wouldn't mind, that'd be absolutely fantastic. Which is quite handy because this sauce is really quick. Okay, it's going to be a lemon and thyme sauce. Okay, again based with chicken stock. For no other reason than that I tend to use chicken stock more than I do fish stock. Lovely, thank you very much. Okay, I tend to use a chicken stock with the fish, just a light chicken stock, not too brown. Okay. More than I do fish stock. I find the fish stocks, unless I make the fish stock myself, of course, I find fish stocks quite wishy-washy sometimes. So I tend to use a chicken stock. Okay. So I'm after some garlic. Always garlic. I love garlic. I think I throw garlic in almost everything.
Well, it's good for you, isn't it? So,
Well, it depends. I don't know whether I'm not sure that my missus would agree with you on that one, but I don't. Yeah, no, you're right. It's do you throw my onion? So thanks. And an onion.
You're asking me for one?
No, it's fine. Did you have you taken my half of onion away?
Yeah, maybe.
Okay, thanks.
right, here's another wine we're going to try. This one comes from Austria. Austria had a bit of a shocker about 30 years ago. They got caught sticking antifreeze into their wines. So they had to strip their whole industry back to scratch, to basics, and just restart.
And why? Just why did they do that? Is there a?
It's some chemical that can add an element or the semblance of sweetness to a wine, and it was just, you know, obviously it wasn't bright blue or anything like that you stick on your windscreen. But it's just a chemical that can be used to give this, I think it's called glycol or something like that, rubbish at science. Anyway, they ripped their whole industry inside out and they just started again and they just went for quality. So you don't find all that many cheapo wines from Austria, but equally you don't find all that many complete dogs.
Okay.
That's a technical term for a bad wine.
Is that true, or are you just telling me that just to try and humour me? Is that a true phrase?
It's going to become a technical term. When I finish with it, it will become, you know, received wisdom. So they've got in Austria, they got some of the international grapes, like Sauvignon Blanc, like Merlot, Pinot Noir, but they've also got a number of their own individual indigenous grapes, and the most well known is a white grape called Grüne Veltliner, GV. That's a lot easier to remember it as GV.
Tell me that again. What's it called?
Grüne Veltliner. So Grüne means green.
Okay. Grüne.
And Veltliner means of Veltlin.
Grüne Veltliner.
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 But it's easier to remember GV.
Absolutely. Just tell me white or red. That was.
So the reason why I've stuck this in as a good option to go with this fish is it's fresh and it's crisp, and that's the sort of style of wines that you want to go with fish.
Definitely.
You don't want something that's big and oaky, and you know, but for most fish dishes you don't want that. It's got a bit of a kind of slightly savoury herby side as well, so I think it'll go quite nicely with the thyme.
With the thyme, okay.
in this dish. Let me get your glass. Your glass used to have.
It's always, my glass is always empty. You know this
hole in the bottom.
You know this half full, half empty business. Mine is usually empty.
Yeah.
To be fair. Cheers.
So, and it comes in this beautiful bottle. I don't know whether that sort of is clear to be seen, but it's this very sort of sleek bottle. Maybe I'm a bit geeky. I get, you know, the shape of bottles is become a source of appeal to me. That's nothing to do with any Freudian interpretations. And if you look at it, it's slightly like, look at the colour of the tube. There was the first one in this big glass, and there's the second one. It's a bit lighter. It's a bit paler. And it's. Can you have a bit of a taste? Like, it's super dry. It's not
which is great for me, because I do love, if anything, dry for me.
Bone dry.
Yeah, definitely.
And Grüne Veltliner, you know, you think of the cuisine of Austria. Well, there is fish. You know, things like perch. You know, the
Zander, yeah, okay.
Pike perch. Obviously, there's freshwater. You know, all sorts of freshwater fish. They don't have any saltwater fish, but they also have things like veal schnitzels, pork schnitzels, and this sort of wine that's very fresh and crisp with the acidity. It can cut through the fattiness of things like a schnitzel. So it's really versatile. You can
Yep.
have it like this with fish. You can have it as an aperitif, or you can have it with a nice bit of pork, nice bit of veal in a schnitzel, and it works a treat.
Good. It sounds absolutely. It tastes.
Got it,
Yeah, it is. It does taste. And you are right.
Got
It is
some-
really dry, and I'm not sure whether I should actually say this live on the screen, but I could quite easily, happily sit down and just
pint
finish.
of it.
Well, I'd obviously drink it through a
straw.
yeah. You know me too well. You know me too well.
Well, keep
this
good
is-
spirits.
Yeah, well, this is absolutely fantastic.
So the previous one was perhaps a little bit fruitier with that like really lemony fruity flavour, and this one is just it's just sort of a bit salty, a bit savoury, a bit herby, super dry, and it's only 12.5% as well. In fact,
Only.
Well, 12.5% is relatively low for a
Is it
wine.
really? Okay.
Yeah, a lot of wines, especially the wines from the hot countries, the alcohol comes from the amount of sugar
Right.
that
Okay.
grows in the grapes that then ferment when the wine is fermenting. So if you make wine in a cooler country, the grapes have less sugar to start with, so they then ferment and give less alcohol at the end. So
And what about yourself? Have you got a particular? Are you a white wine man? Are you a red wine man? Are you a
I'm
particular?
an all wine man.
An all wine man.
I'm a four-wheel drive man.
Is there
when it comes to wine.
is there an area? Is it French, German? Is it what?
Yeah.
If somebody said to you, I don't know, here's my checkbook. Go and buy yourself. Is there a specific wine that you?
I mean, I'm very much like European wine fan, more so than the New World countries, just because I studied languages, I've lived all over Europe, and I love the kind of the way that the food, the historical cuisine of different regions and countries has grown up along with the wines. So I definitely more, France, Italy, Germany. I think I mentioned earlier as well. On one of the other.
And what's your
sessions.
what's your view on English wines?
Well, there are. I mean, we were chatting on the way up in the car. When you get a ferry from Dover, you look behind you. There are those white cliffs. When you arrive on the other side of the channel, near Calais, what colour are the cliffs? They're white. It's the same band of chalk, limestone, that goes across from northern France, where Champagne is from, that cuts across down through Kent, through Sussex, into Hampshire. So we did, despite Mr. Farage's objections, used to actually be joined onto the European continent. Was that a bit political? So we've actually got some amazing sparkling wines now being grown, mainly in the southern counties, because obviously climatically it's still, we've got to do a bit more climate change, global warming, until Cumbria becomes a recognisable centre.
That might take just slightly longer. Only very slightly.
A few more
a
few more Ryanair trips, and you'll be fine up here. But some super sparkling wines in particular.
Okay.
So the equivalent of champagne. I mean, you've got champagne houses now buying land in Kent, in Sussex, in Hampshire, and that's great. I've actually sold an English sparkling wine to a Frenchman. I have a business over there in France.
Okay, and what's their view on that? Because they're always very what's the word? Very critical. They've always been very critical.
They're very pro their own products.
Yeah. But they've always been very critical. So, what's your view on the English sparkling?
They've
wine
reluctantly had to accept that it really, we are nailing it.
Oh, well, I think that's good. I think that's one for. I think that's one for us. Okay, so I'm just waiting for my soul. It's just not quite ready, but I'm sure it will be.
It's waiting for my soul.
It's always worth waiting for. So just to recap, what I've done with that sauce again, just started off, chop the onion and the garlic into the pan, softened it just very, very slightly, and with my not so fantastic wine, just added some of that, just reduced it down a little bit, in with the chicken stock, reduced it down. You saw me, I've taken off, I took off the rind of some of the lemon and put that in. I've put some of the lovely fresh thyme in there as well, just chopped it up just to release some of the aromas, and I've popped that in there. This is a very, very light sauce. Okay, there's going to be no cream in there. It's just to coat that fish. Okay, and in there also I've put the rest of the lemon. I squeezed that into there as well. So it's a very lemon and thyme. If you had some lemon thyme, you could pop that in as well, that would be absolutely brilliant. But we've just got this wonderful, wonderful time.
From out here.
It is from out here. We've raided it, and then just to finish it off, what I'm going to do is when the fish is almost there, I'm going to pop this samphire. I'm going to pop that into the sauce just to warm it through. I'm not going to cook it. Just going to warm it through in the sauce because this is absolutely lovely stuff.
Yeah.
It's great raw actually.
It's like eating seaside.
Yeah, and it absolutely doesn't need. It needs no cooking at all. Very often you'll see chefs, you know, and they'll cook it to death because they think that's what it needs to. But if you get this stuff, it's absolutely wonderful. It doesn't.
Rock pools.
Yeah, it doesn't need any cooking at all.
It's like leaping around rocks on the English coast.
So there we go. I've run over because Pete's come.
No, you haven't. You're all right.
I'm all right.
No, you're all right.
So as you can, I don't know whether you can see, it's the fish. I know is going to be absolutely wonderful. It's going to be cooked. Okay.
Here's your glass.
No, thank you.
Get rid of the other one.
Yeah, yeah.
Just to prove that it is, I'll just make
Do you need a plate?
lovely. Yeah, if you have one, mate, that'd be
Of course I have.
fantastic. Thank you very much. I'm going to lift this out, pop it onto the plate. This is great. This is lovely, actually, with turbot. If you do, you get some lovely or I say four. It depends who's eating it, of course. 4-person turbot size, and there's some fantastic turbots out there, and a great. I love turbot, and this is a great way if you ever get a chance to do it, and to do it with turbot. Okay, but any flatfish will work wonderfully. I'm just going to pop that in.
This is the
I'm going
upstream.
to turn this off. Okay, so as you can see, I'm just warming that through, not cooking it specifically, just warming it specifically. Cooking it specifically. Okay, there's a little bit of garlic in there, not too much, just 1 clove. The chicken stock, and then we're just going to pop that over the top.
This is proper kind of sharing food, this, isn't it?
Yeah, well, that's.
Tucking in.
Is that not? I mean, I've totally changed over these years. That I think food is to be enjoyed, and food is to share. And I don't think there's anything.
That looks good to me.
Anything
Don't
better.
move the plate because somebody's zoomed into there
he's
quite
zoomed in.
nicely.
I do apologise,
Little
Rob.
tinker.
I've moved that.
Kate, I think, has done that.
Lovely.
We've got some forks. Oh, we'll have to. Got any left? There you go.
It's rather splendid.
So there you go. That's your sole. You could use plaice. You could use sole. You could use turbot. If you can get some small fish, this is ideal for 2 if you're having a dinner party. But you know, and it's just into the oven, 10-15 minutes, because that's all I had left. I'm hoping, guys, that it's cooked.
That's lovely.
Perfect. And the sauce, as I say, the garlic, the onion, reduce it down. White wine, reduce that down. Chicken stock, thyme, lemon, squeeze of lemon, pour it over the top, warm the samphire. There you go. Absolutely delicious. Thank you very much.
John, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure, as always. And thank you for the wines.
Thank you.
Useful.
Yeah, very good.
Lovely.
Thank you.
Keep your ears
Delicious.
open and see if there's any more wines that kind of spring to mind when we're cooking on the next hour.
There are. There are going to be more coming.
There are.
Right away.
They can fast every hour.
Every hour. Why these at wearethirsty.co.uk. There we go.
Every hour on the hour.
Brilliant.
Channels.
Right, let me.